Good afternoon. This is the regularly scheduled meeting of the Estes Park Planning Commission. We only have 2 commissioners, which does not make a quorum. So I think Director Caraccia, I believe we are unable to have an official meeting.
Mr. Chair, Vice Chair, that is correct. The bylaws do state we do need a quorum to open the meeting and conduct business. So without Commissioner Pawson, we do not have a quorum, so we cannot hold a meeting.
In one of the agenda items under discussion items was a conversation about community conversations. That was not necessarily an item that we needed to act on or take official action on, but it would be an item that we still could listen to. Is that correct?
Mr. Chair, yes, I would leave that to your purview. That is non-action item. It really is just information presented. It would be made in an unofficial capacity since we can't have a meeting, but it would be a presentation from Community Conversations to the 2 of you, and that would be it. It's not a meeting. It's not a discussion action item at all. So it would be just information presented.
I would be in favor of that. How about you? All right, well, let's proceed with that. So if you're able and willing to get up to us and give us your presentation, we'd appreciate that.
Sure.
Could you state your name?
All right, I'll start over with the mic on. Good afternoon, commissioners. Thanks for making time to let us speak with you today. My name is Eric White. I'm the Adult Services Librarian at the library, and I have with me Susan Stewart, who is a deliberative designer and facilitator working with the Community Conversations team. You may remember her from your joint town board planning commission meeting that she helped facilitate a little more than a month ago. The one person who is missing, who wasn't able to be here with us, is Melissa Westover. She's the interim manager of the Estes Valley Restorative Justice Partnership. And together, the 3 of us are leading the community conversations part of the public engagement around the Development Code update. All right, so let me tell you just a little bit more about us. Community Conversations is a partnership of the Estes Valley Restorative Justice Partnership and the Estes Valley Library. You can see our mission there, but what it really boils down to is helping community members have better, more productive conversations with each other around challenging community issues. And hopefully not just conversations, but conversations that lead toward community action to address issues that are a challenge for the community. So a little bit more about what we've done, some of our past experience. We help the Parks Department bring people together, stakeholders around the creating a management plan for the Thumb open space. So all the folks who are invested in that space, from climbers to neighbors to dog walkers, bringing them all together to kind of work through trade-offs and see what they could come up with to guide a management plan. Down in Allens Park, we worked with a coalition down there to bring that community in conversation around collaborative fire mitigation. And then finally, a few years ago, we held a deliberation on the draft of the Estes Forward Comprehensive Plan. So bringing people together in small groups. We had 8 areas of discussion that people could choose, and they gave feedback on that draft and also gave us their ideas and things that they thought might be missing, and we reported that back out to the team working on the comp plan. So to kind of boil that down, we focus on a couple things. One is community-wide issues, so issues that are important to the community as a whole. So the town engaged us to help with the public engagement of the development code update, but really we have a larger responsibility to the community to try and create better conversations and more capacity for community problem solving. And then we help the community manage wicked problems, and I'll talk more about that in just a second. What's a wicked problem? A wicked problem is a problem that you can't just send an expert off to create a solution for. There's no optimal solution for it because it involves competing values. So different community members, different parts of the community, they bring their own experiences, their own perspectives to community issues. And one set of folks may hold values that another set doesn't hold, vice versa, or more often, they hold a lot of the same values, but they rank them in different order. So in the Estes Valley, we have things to consider like quality of life, economic vitality, the environment, and different people rank those in different orders. So to move forward on a wicked problem, what you have to do is weigh those values and make trade-offs. And so a lot of this also implies that you don't ever solve a wicked problem, right? You're not going to get to the perfect combination of things, and those things may change over time. So wicked problems are generally managed rather than solved. And then finally, wicked problems are usually of the kind of scope that it doesn't make sense for a single entity to be managing it alone. So like big community issues like balancing those things that I mentioned, it's not just the job of government, but also nonprofits, the private sector, all the different entities that make up our community have a hand in managing those wicked problems. So as an example there, you see healthcare, right? We want our healthcare to be high quality, accessible, and low cost, and those are three values, but they don't always fit together well, right? To raise the quality, you might also be raising the cost. To get healthcare out to more people, you might also be raising the cost. So within a community, we have to figure out like which of those trade-offs we're willing to make based on our values. Another one is water in northern Colorado. And by the way, I've stolen a lot of these slides from Martine Carcassonne, my mentor who runs the Center for Public Deliberation down at CSU. So we have a limited supply of water, and we have all these things that we want to do with it, right? Recreation, agriculture, wildlife habitat, supporting the economy, but we can't get them all. So we have to kind of weigh those trade-offs and as a community sort of figure out where we land. Or if we choose not to do that, then we might have perpetual conflict of people going at each other and nothing gets done, right? And then finally, the future of the Estes Valley as a wicked problem, right? We have these things we need to balance. We have a comprehensive plan that has all sorts of great values in it, as you can see from the vision statement, but it doesn't tell us how to balance those values. That's something we have to do on an ongoing basis. So one tool that we believe can help us as a community better manage those wicked problems is deliberative engagement. And in a nutshell, that's basically bringing people across different perspectives together to listen to each other, to weigh trade-offs, and to find common ground and ways to move forward on a challenging issue. And it asks, what might we come up with if people on different sides of an issue could engage with each other in a productive way? So if you look at traditional forms of public participation, you kind of have information going out from decision makers to citizens and then back in from citizens to decision makers. So maybe the decision makers put out there something that they're proposing, citizens weigh in on that through email, through surveys, through coming up to the mic one at a time to state their views. And the government or the decision makers, they take all that in. They see people with these like vastly different points of view, and they're left to try to like work it out themselves, what they think and what they think the public wants. Deliberative engagement changes that up a bit. So for a given challenging community issue, if we hold a deliberation on it, we bring citizens together in a structured process in small facilitated groups to listen to each other, to evaluate options, to weigh trade-offs, and to hopefully find some common ground. So what that does is it does two things. It lets people hear each other across perspectives, and it forces people to see that like the thing that they want may have downsides. So we have small mixed groups, and what we don't do, we don't just throw them into conversation with each other. We provide good background information, and we provide trained facilitators to help them work through those trade-offs. And hopefully what comes out of that is common ground and ways to move forward on challenging issues. And then beyond that, they can engage those entities on the outside, the private sector, the nonprofits, government, experts. So that's a little bit about deliberation in a nutshell. I think the key takeaway there is citizens engaging with each other to find common ground. How does that apply to the development code? The development code is a technical document, right? But it also reflects our community values on things like density, open space, housing, protection of the natural environment. So its values are underlying that document. And during this process of updating the code, we might ask questions like, what should the development say about meeting community housing needs, managing land use and zoning, architectural design guidelines, just to name a few. And some folks might think that the development code shouldn't say anything about maybe one or more of those things. So in order to, so our work on the development code update, we have a plan, kind of a two-phase plan to bring the community together in conversation. The first phase is a set of facilitated dialogues, so facilitated small group conversations to understand the issues and the values that the public holds. So what matters to people in areas of community concern that are affected by the development code. So things like land use, housing, community character. And these dialogues they're meant to be highly inclusive. So we're not just holding an event and inviting people to come. We're reaching out to as many different parts of the community as we can to invite them in to these dialogues. So we're targeting both highly engaged and hard to reach groups in the community. And so in those dialogues, they'll be facilitated, and we'll also have note takers there. And our note takers are not going to be writing down names, but they're going to be writing down like what's important to people. And we are going to take that output, put it in a usable format, pass it along to the code update team, and use it to inform our deliberations in phase 2. So when the draft gets far enough along that there are some decision points that could benefit from community members engaging with each other to maybe weigh options, weigh trade-offs, find some common ground, we'll deliberate on those areas. And so you saw that picture of the comp plan deliberation earlier, where we we invite groups in. We also invite the public in. We break down into small facilitated groups, and we talk through those trade-offs using a structured process, good materials, trained facilitators. And these groups will be mixed across perspectives so that we'll get interaction between those perspectives. And the focus is on, as I've said, finding common ground and ways to move forward on those issues, weighing trade-offs, coming up with ideas. And so that output will go to inform, will go to the code update team to help inform the code draft, and the results will be reported back out to the community so that the community can hold us all accountable. And then once that more complete draft is out, we're hoping to hold a final deliberation on that draft, similar to what we did with the comprehensive plan, to allow people a chance to give feedback on that draft. So this is kind of what it looks like at a high level. Over here on the left, you see our dialogues. Those are feeding issues and values to the code update team. They're also doing their own engagement, their own data collection that we're integrating, looking for those decision points. And then that combined with those same issues and values from our dialogues go to inform our deliberation design. And then the output of that will go to help inform the early code draft. And then if we're able to have a deliberation on a more final code draft, we'll do that and get feedback there. So just to recap, a couple key things we're working to do. We're working to give people from across the community a voice, and we are working to help inform decision making. Again, looking to ask, what might the community accept given an opportunity to engage with each other across perspectives? So instead of decision, the idea behind it is kind of like, instead of decision makers hearing these like vastly different things and having to put those together, this asks like, what if you put people from different perspectives together on the front end? What would they come up with that the community could get behind? And so in the process of that, we have a question for you. You don't have to answer it now. You can think on it and get back to us. We'll check in with you, but we would love to know what's one thing that you'd like to better understand public opinion on in the context of the code update. So I'm gonna leave that with you, and now, yeah, I'd like to see if you have any questions for us.
I do have a question. Some of this is kind of wonky. I think most of the people in Estes Park probably don't even know what the development code is. How do you go out and make sure that there's people from all different kind of opinions that could be available to make a robust conversation?
Yeah, so we're reaching out to all the many different groups that we can think of, and I'm happy to share some of those. But so we're having conversations. We're starting by having conversations with just representatives of those groups and kind of sitting down, explaining to them what we're doing, asking for their help to bring folks in their networks into these conversations. And then we're also working to prepare good materials so that people know enough about what the development code update is and what it touches to have a good conversation about it. Does that answer your question?
I think one of the things I'd like to get feedback on is the balance between future development and kind of the need for housing to meet the need for more affordable housing, and balancing that with just the perspectives of the neighbors and the people that live in the community. You know, just it just seems like there's a lot of tension there, right?
Mm-hmm. Yeah, definitely.
Whatever you can do to help us with that, that'd be great.
Thanks. Yeah, Right. That's one of those key value questions.
Anything else from Steve? Do you have any comments or questions?
Mr. Chair, no, we're not, we're just having a conversation between friends, so no, nothing to share.
Planner Washam, anything from your perspective?
No, nothing to add.
I'm just curious if anybody in the audience has any comments or questions or thoughts. Well, Eric, thank you. I appreciate that. You know, I
right.
wish our full panel was here, and I wish we had more people that, from our perspective, could have listened in on this. But if it's possible to come back and possibly do that again when we're all here, that would be
Yeah.
helpful for us.
That's great. I mean, I get to, now that I've run through it once, maybe I'll get some of the bugs out of my presentation and give an even better one next time.
So when do your first deliberations start? Because it looks like your deliberations start before even a code update comes out.
Yeah.
When
So
is the first ones planned to get them familiar with the current development code before the update comes out?
yeah, so we're still kind of hashing that out with community development and with design workshop. The dialogues that I mentioned could happen as early as June, or they could kind of be throughout the summer. Deliberations could come in the fall, or they could come early next year. So those are still things that we're working out to make sure we're all in alignment between community conversations and the code update team.
So from a schedule point of view, do you align to what the development code developer's timeline is to present it to the town and fit into that schedule? Or does it expand his schedule in order to allow these deliberations to go on?
I don't think our work is going to expand the schedule, but it will inform those early drafts. So like it will inform the early drafts and then hopefully inform kind of that final draft.
Because I think the contractor doing the code already has benchmarks time for public engagement already. So I think you already have dates on the wall. So maybe when you come back and you talk to the larger group, you could have a more refined schedule that aligns with what the code developer is thinking, so we can see how that schedule fits together.
Yeah, absolutely. That's kind of that's our sort of our number one priority, to make sure we have that, to get that schedule nailed down as quickly as possible. Thanks. And yeah,
Yep,
you've got
thank
our
you again.
contact
Appreciate
info.
it. Yeah. Okay.
Thank you all.
I think our non-meeting meeting is adjourned.
Can I ask a question among friends? Since 685 Peakview was not continued today, how does that affect it being on the agenda for next month?
It will be re-advertised, so we'll have to go through the formal advertising process to get it onto June.
So it'll stay on June even though it wasn't officially continued?
No, it does not, because we're advertising formally, we didn't need to take any action tonight. If we